As you might imagine, when we mentioned that all these people are living on the same property, including the fourth wife, you can see how it kind of set the stage for problems the moment he dies. In other words, his presence is keeping order.
Yes.
And it's because
definitely.
of him that everyone is playing nice.
Yeah.
But the moment that he dies, then very predictably, for him it should have been predictable too, that this is going to come apart spectacularly.
Welcome to Life's Third Act, an enlightening look at estate planning, retirement, and beyond.
Welcome to another episode of Life's Third Act. This week we're going to talk about Conway Twitty. Now, I know that takes you back a few years. I'm willing to bet that everybody has heard of Conway Twitty. Yes. Now, I realize some people have never listened to Conway Twitty, and for some it's just a name from the distant past. But he really was a very, very big figure in country music. And he died in the early 90s. And there's a lot to learn regarding his estate, the way things went and the way they should have gone. But I really thought that this story is one that would be of interest to a lot of people, even of those who don't know who he is. Now, I suspect that would mean you have to be under, 40? 30?
Yeah, probably 40 or 30, yeah.
Okay, so there may be a few that could raise your hand and say you don't know who it is. I understand that. But trust me, he's a hugely accomplished figure, a legend in the Hall of Fame in country music. So he's a legend. And we wanted to look at his life and his estate and the learning opportunities. So we will start, as is our custom. Sherry, get us started with the life of this person. Well, first introduce some of his achievements.
Well, some of his achievements, my goodness. Well, first off, he changed his name. So maybe, I don't know if anyone would know him.
Are you saying that's an achievement?
Harold Lloyd Jenkins, but I'm sure it's not an easy thing to go changing your name.
Yeah.
So
I think I might prefer Harold Lloyd Jenkins, but go ahead.
Yeah, it didn't quite have that ring that
No,
Conway
it didn't.
Twitty did when it comes to music and album covers, right? But needless to say, he was born Harold Lloyd Jenkins. Back in 1933, he was born in Mississippi. His family was not well off. They were pretty, poor, if you will.
Very poor, in fact.
And, well, he found a love of music. He learned how to play guitar from his dad, and then he actually performed on radio at a young age. I think he was like 10. And his first band at 12. So he's working his way up here. He's doing a weekly radio show in Arkansas. And he also had a love of baseball. So if music wouldn't have worked out, you never know. He could have been a big baseball player because he actually had an offer from a Philadelphia Phillies.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
There's a couple other country artists that are that I know of that are newer or younger, if you will, that have had that same thing. So I think there's a thing with baseball and country music.
Well, I mean, he's a big guy, and I can see how he was probably a very good athlete. That doesn't surprise me.
Mm-hmm. So, and then he was drafted into the U.S. Army, and then, that kind of put a kind of twist of things because while he was in the Army, he put together a band. And then he started performing there. And he really liked it. And I think he liked the feedback from that. And then Elvis came along. And I think, too, I'm kind of guessing at this, but I think he was probably like, well, if Elvis can do this and have this great career in music, I think I should be doing that, too.
And it's funny, he had this Elvis-type look, if you look at pictures of him from that period.
Yes. It seemed like he was very big into his looks, maybe a little vain.
Well,
just a little bit.
They served him well, though.
Yes, it helped him make some money. But he ended up, that's when he changed his name to Conway Twitty in 1957. So he wanted to make sure he was, I guess, maybe competitive with Elvis. I mean, Elvis is going by pretty much just one name nowadays that people remember him as just Elvis.
Well, but the first hit that he had was in that category of what they called then rockabilly, right? It wasn't country music.
No, but I mean, Elvis, too, Elvis kind of, when he came in, he did a little bit of gospel, too, in the beginning. And then he got more mainstream, country and rock and roll. Kind of, there's that fine line, that mixture of them all.
Yeah.
So it depends on probably what decade you're looking at, where rockabilly could even be considered more of the more gospel, if you would, country music.
So he had a hit, though, in the late 50s. which was
It's Only Make Believe back in 1958.
and that was huge. But that wasn't a country hit, was it?
No, it was an international pop hit.
Okay.
So, yeah. So they all kind of intertwine. You know, I mean, even back in the day, I remember The Gambler. I didn't realize that was a country song. My parents used to play that song by Kenny Rogers, and I thought it was just pop. You know, and a lot of Dolly Parton songs, even back in the day, I didn't realize was country, but
yeah, so there were crossover stuff.
a lot of crossover stuff.
So he made the decision, though, to focus on country by when?
That all started happening in the mid-'60s when he decided just to go with the country, to leave that rockabilly. I think there was probably more money.
Yeah.
I bet.
Well, it was a risky decision, though. I mean, it's at that time, we think of people now moving with ease across those categories. But at the time, you know, you had to choose where you were going to live. And that was a risky decision because he had already been a success as a pop star. And a little bit of an Elvis-like star. And then to choose at that point to go country, it was a brave decision.
Oh, yeah, it was. Because, you know, country has had its moments of kind of, it's really popular, and then it's kind of like, ooh, you listen to country music, and then it becomes popular again. So
yeah,
it's quite a wave.
It wasn't evident then that it would be the kind of money that country became. So he proceeded to have a bunch of hits.
First one, 1968, was Next in Line. So that was his big hit.
Go ahead. What else did he have?
And then he also he achieved a record 55 #1 Billboard country hits over his career. And he had duets with Loretta Lynn.
Wait, now let me stop you. That is a record, is it not?
It was.
Justin, do you know who has the record?
I want to say
Justin, look that up.
Brooks or George Strait. I think it was George
Country
Strait.
hits specifically.
Number one.
George Strait, yep.
Number one. 55, did you say?
55 #1 Billboard country hits.
So who could possibly beat that record?
George Strait.
He was Conway Twitty's only surpassed by George Strait.
Really?
Yeah, I think George, how many does he have?
But it's narrow.
Yeah, because I know he put out an album, George Strait did, of his 50 #1 hits. But then he's had a couple more since that album came out.
All right. That is really incredible.
Yeah.
But
What a
okay,
career.
so Conway, just so our audience knows, Conway Twitty was really big. He was among the 2 or 3 biggest country stars for a decade.
Yeah, and I think a lot of ladies really liked him too. I've heard stories.
Yeah. I always thought he looked a little odd with that tall hair, but
Might have been a thing then. I don't know.
yeah, that coif, I think that did it. So anyway, lead us up through the 70s, continued to have hits.
Oh, yeah, he continued to have hits. He was also, this is going quite a bit forward, but 1999, he became Country Music Hall of Fame. He was inducted there. Also in the Rockabilly Hall of Fame. So that's 2 huge things to accomplish in one's career. So, I mean, he's doing great. And he's still touring. He's got, a couple of wives too at this time. And then he had enough money to create a kind of like Elvis did. He had his Graceland, and Conway Twitty had his Twitty City.
Yeah, I think I would analogize it to Dollywood. But you're right.
Dollywood, yeah, that too, because there was rides and people could come visit at any time.
Yeah.
So his fans, he wanted to make a place where they could, be there with him.
So he continued to tour, pushing forward a little bit quickly here. He continued to tour up until his death.
I believe he did, but it wasn't like he had been because he had a fall. And that kind of messed some things up. And that was back in 1981. I believe he was getting off the train or the tour bus, and he fell and hit his head really bad. And it could have been maybe a concussion, but a serious head injury, at least from what I understand. But that was in 1981.
I was thinking that occurred a little later, but
Yeah.
we'll check on it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so people said that there was a change in his.
Yes, his kids noticed there was a change in him and his personality and his memory. But of course, that depends on who you ask. So, there's that. But I mean, he kept on, continuing to produce music and continuing to tour, and he was out there, doing stuff. So he didn't just stop with that head injury. So
And let's talk about his marriages.
his marriages, we'll start with the first one because he's married 3 times. Actually, technically, he was married 4 times, twice to this one, to his second wife.
That's right.
So, but his first wife didn't last very long. I think that was about 2-3 years, and that was in 1953.
So he was 20 years old when he married her.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think it was kind of a oopsident, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and
So-
a child from that marriage.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I
Just
believe-
one.
Yes. They had one child, and he ended up with custody of the child and took the son. And, he was in the kid's life, and he raised him.
Really?
And then, in 1956, he got married again. And with that second marriage, which was to Temple Mickey Medley, his second wife, and they had 3 children together. They had a son and 2 daughters.
So that was really his second and third wife.
Yes,
one
because
could
they got
say.
divorced
Yeah.
after 14 years. And they were only divorced for a little while. I'm not
Like
even sure the
less
ink
than
dried.
a year, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, but they did go through the formalities of a divorce. But then they got back together about a year, I believe, after the divorce proceedings. And then they were married for another 14 years. So a total off and on of 28 years they were married, his second wife and third wife, if you will.
Yeah. So you can see how the 3 children from that marriage, we'll talk about this more later, but how they felt probably some defensiveness of their mother
I would
versus
imagine so.
versus the fourth, we'll call her the third wife.
Yeah.
The third wife who was married to him, what years? 87 to?
Yeah, not very long. They were only married about 3 years they married 1990 until he passed away.
I thought they married in 87.
I have 1990.
Check that, Justin. Either way, even if it were 87, it's only 6 years.
Yeah, they weren't married for very long. And I'm sure to make things a little bit even more awkward was the fact that his oldest daughter, Joni, she was friends with the ex-wife because there's quite a gap
Yeah.
in age, we'll say.
Right.
So, no, they got married. She was only 36. She was a secretary, but first she was his daughter's friend. So
Says
she was coming around the
February
house.
of 1987.
February of
Okay.
87. Okay.
So his third wife was close to the age of one of his children.
Yes, his oldest daughter. So that makes things awkward.
And they were friends
They were
first.
friends. And then she's dating dad.
Yeah.
That's going to create issues.
I can definitely.
Facial expression said it all.
Yeah. So anyway, he stays with this wife, Dee, this final wife, up until his death. And there was no indications of problems in that marriage.
No, they were together like all the time, apparently. And she was really into the business. I mean, she was like his manager, helping him with picking songs and doing things in the studio. And I mean, she was on it.
Yeah. So she did acquire, whether she had it before or not, she did acquire some expertise regarding his affairs and his career and his business.
And I believe from some of the interviews I've seen that she was well respected in the country music industry. She knew some folks.
So, I think the seeds were sown for potential conflict. And then we have the fact that, and we'll talk more about this in the next episode, but that there was a will that was created before his last marriage in which, he wanted his kids to have everything. It's a shame there wasn't better planning in this. So he never actually retired, though, from performing before his death.
No, it was kind of all of a sudden, and that happened in Branson, Missouri, which is, of course, a home of Silver Dollar City. But he passed away at the age of 59 after a ruptured abdominal aneurysm. And
Those things are hard to anticipate. I mean,
you don't know. It just gets you. And he was performing in Branson, Missouri, so it happened, I believe, right afterwards, after a performance.
Yeah, and of course, he had to I know that they took him to the local Cox
That would have been in
hospital.
Springfield, Missouri.
Yeah, they took him there, and I don't want to be critical of a hospital system that I don't know. I know a little bit about it because we own a property in that area. But, you just wonder if you'd been taken to immediately to, say you'd been in St. Louis and had gone to Barnes Hospital, for example, or choose its counterpart in any major city. In that case, you always wonder, might they have lived? I do think they put him on a life flight, didn't they?
He was rushed. That's all I know. I'm not sure if they put him on a life flight or not. I just know that he was rushed to the hospital.
Yeah, and maybe nothing could be done.
Yeah.
I would just feel better about just those few facts if I knew he had gotten to a state-of-the-art facility.
Yeah, and you have to, like you're saying, it was Springfield back in 1993.
Yeah.
So different than how that city has grown over the years, with it being a college town.
Yeah. So what were his children doing for a living at the time of his death?
Well, it didn't fall far from the tree. We'll just put it that way. All of them were involved in music. So his first child, his son, that would be Michael Twitty, he went by Charlie Tango. It's a thing with the family. They like to change their name when they get into the industry.
Charlie Tango. Was he
It sounds
a dancer?
like a movie. I know. No, he was a singer. And about today, he's probably in his 70s now. And then that was, of course, from the first marriage.
Well, but did he have any success?
He had, I don't know of any of these songs, but he
they
did a
were
lot
recorded.
of his dad's. But he recorded stuff. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Was it country?
Country, yes.
Okay, go
He
ahead.
stayed in his dad. Yeah. And then there's Joni Lee Jenkins, and that was his first oldest daughter, who's probably about in her late 60s now. But she sang a song actually with her dad, Don't Cry, Joni. Did you ever hear that one? I have not
No.
heard of that one, but that's,
But
and then
did she have any other music?
Kathy Twitty, they kept trying. Sang a lot of dad's hits.
Are you
and
saying she recorded music other than this song with her?
I don't believe so. I know she did
Okay.
some stuff that with her dad.
So but what did she do for a living? We don't know, or
No, she got involved in the music industry. Now, I know she married singer-songwriter John Wesley Rise.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of music stuff
Okay.
going on there.
So he probably had a career.
Yeah.
She was helping her dad. We do know that she.
Yeah.
I think 3 of the kids may have lived at Twitty City.
Yeah, and his mother also lived at Twitty City. So that would have been the 3 younger children of his 4, their mother, that second
Yeah.
wife. Yeah, so the kids and mom were there.
That's an interesting arrangement. So you have the mom, the 3rd wife, living on the same property with the 4th wife.
Yeah.
Obviously, not the same structure.
No, I
One's
think
in
they
a
had a couple.
mansion.
Yeah.
One is in the
There was some
Twitty
distance.
mansion, and that's the current Mrs. Twitty.
Yes.
But the former Miss Twitty is still living on the property.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. She's still living. Well, I mean, his second wife was living there while the 3rd wife was living there. But like you said, it's a big compound, so there was space between. They probably
But was
never
there
saw each
enough
other.
space?
I don't know. That
Is-
could be the reason for all the issues.
There may not be enough acreage in Tennessee to accommodate.
There might not be for that situation. No.
So, all right. So we have another child. Tell me the other, 2? What are
Yes.
they doing?
So you've got Kathy Twitty. She also did a little singing. I didn't see of any hits. She was also a performer, like I said, part of the Next Generation. I think that was where I think Loretta Lynn's kids and somebody else's kids, they all kind of got together and kind of sang a little bit, but they never got to the point where they were as big as their parents were.
But they had some hits.
I don't believe they were hits. It depends on your definition of hit.
But now this is which kids? Kathy?
This is Kathy, who she sang by the name Jessica James. All these names, it gets so confusing.
You'd think that they'd want to stick with Twitty.
You would think.
But I'm curious, though, did Kathy have hits? Maybe we shouldn't go this deeply into it. Justin,
Yeah.
would you contact our research department and have them give us the answer to this question in the next 30 seconds?
Let's see what the research department says. 2 singles landed on the charts, at least. One was called Linda on My Mind.
Oh.
Oh, you know that one?
It's a version of it, not the original.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot of covers and
So she had a couple hits.
some charting, maybe not hitting top 10 or top 20, but they were
She's not going
pretty
to be able to
decent.
retire.
So right, no. So I mean, the point, I guess, for purpose of this show is none of these kids were really self-sufficient by the standard of living they had known.
Exactly.
That's
They
right.
needed their dad's money.
Okay, and the fourth child would be the same situation as the third.
Jimmy Twitty. Now, he has stayed out of pretty much the public eye. He takes care of like his dad's legacy, if you will.
So he probably worked at Twitty City, and apparently several of them did. And I think maybe all of them did at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But that becomes something we'll talk about in our next episode when we talk about the probate and the disputes. Was Conway was this generous guy who wanted to provide financial security and to have his family close. So he built Twitty City in part to allow them to live there and for him to take care of them in exchange for jobs. I don't think that these were supposed to be just pension checks. I think that he intended them to, and they did. They had jobs of various sorts. So it's kind of set to, as you might imagine, when we mentioned that all these people are living on the same property, including the fourth wife, you can see how it kind of set the stage for problems the moment he dies. In other words, his presence is keeping order.
Yes.
And it's because
definitely.
of him that everyone is playing nice.
Yeah.
But the moment that he dies, then very predictably, for him it should have been predictable too, that this is going to come apart spectacularly
Yes.
at his death. So let's also talk about, we didn't talk about his relationship or Conway's partnership with Loretta Lynn. I want to hit on that because that was so important to his fame, because many people think of him primarily in terms of this duet that he had with Loretta Lynn for, I don't know how many years it lasted, but they had a bunch of hits.
Yeah, well, I remember seeing them together on, I just remember like a lot of award shows they were together, and maybe even an episode or two of Hee Haw. And I mean, those are the memories I have of them, so I know that their children have stayed together too. So we're talking about the bloodline, if you will. And I know Conway Twitty was big into that. I've read many articles about how he was very protective of the bloodline, which does explain why he had all of his kids in his will.
Which also argues for, what we'll talk about more the next episode, but the kids really felt that he would never have wanted the large portion of his estate that did to go outside of that bloodline, meaning to a spouse. But yeah, he was close to family, and I know that he and Loretta Lynn's family were close. They had in common that they all grew up dirt poor. I mean, Loretta Lynn grew up near where I grew up, which is in southeastern Kentucky, and so
coal miner's daughter.
It was poor country, especially if you lived in a coal town. So they were close, and their hits were mainly in the 70s. Is that right?
The big hit, let me look it up again.
After the Fire Is Gone was the one that won a
Down
Grammy.
here.
After the Fire Is Gone. Yeah.
Fire
That was in
is
71.
71.
gone.
But yeah, most of them early 70s.
Yeah.
After the fire.
What
is
a
gone.
great partnership that was. And and as you point out, they continued to be close.
Yeah, and so much so that they were close that their grandchildren hang out together. So you've got his oldest son, Michael, his son, Trey Twitty. He's in the music industry too, and I don't think he's had any major hits, but he has teamed up occasionally with Loretta Lynn's granddaughter, Taylor Lynn Finger, and they have done a lot of creative collaborations together.
Isn't that interesting that partnership is extended down a generation?
It's really cool.
2 generations. Yeah. So, all right. Well, this is a good place to stop. We like to talk about the biographies of the people that we discuss probate and learning opportunities. but it's not the thing that we regard as our strongest point because we are not historians. But the reason we think that this is helpful to you, and according to what your comments have been to us, is you like this section where we kind of set the stage for talking about the estate planning, which of course we do in more depth. And we try to keep that not technical stuff that's really interesting to you and that you learn something. So we do, though, enjoy this stage where we do cover the early life, and we like to draw attention to things that we know are going to pop up as being relevant when we talk about the estate. So we could say much more, obviously, about the life of Conway Twitty, as we could all the people we talk about. But I think that we've gone far enough kind of today to set the stage for me to be able to talk in more detail about what the reason this show exists, which is to allow you to better plan your lives, the last stages of your life and the period thereafter. So with that, we will wrap up this episode.
And head to the ring next episode.
Head to the ring? Mm-hmm, what's that?
Because there's a lot of fighting.
Oh, yeah.
Next episode.
Well, it is a litigious story. But anyway, not unusually, I should add. But so we look forward to your joining us for the next episode. So until then, this has been Life's Third Act. Take care.
We hope you enjoyed Life's Third Act, sponsored by Cordell & Cordell, your advisors for estate planning and beyond. Subscribe and join us weekly for thought-provoking discussion and topics exclusively focused on estate planning and your financial future. Discover more at CordellCordell.com. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.